The first time Elise Dyer asked me to take her into the deep end, she made me promise I would not touch her unless she said the word blue. 30 seconds later, she stopped kicking. Her eyes went wide beneath the white lights of the empty hotel pool. She grabbed my shoulders, dragged in a broken breath, and said, "Don't let me go," like she did. I thought she meant the water. Then she looked straight at me and whispered her sister's name. Camille, my ex-fiancée. That was the moment the lesson stopped being about swimming. It was also the moment I realized Elise had not come to me because I was convenient. She had come because there were things her family had taught her to fear, and for reasons I did not yet understand. She believed I was the one person who would not use that fear against her. Before I tell you what happened after that, let me know in the comments whether you think helping an ex's sibling is always crossing a line, or whether some lines only exist because families are afraid of the truth. My name is Jonah Reed. I was 30 that summer, a marine surveyor in Savannah who inspected damaged boats and coached 2 early swim classes each week. 9 months earlier, my 6-year relationship with Camille Dyer had ended when she said she had outgrown the life we planned. She left with 3 suitcases and no explanation that made sense. I accepted her version because asking harder questions felt worse. Elise was Camille's 26-year-old sister. She worked for the Dyer family's luxury event company, where every decision seemed to require approval from her mother and Camille. I knew her from holidays and charity galas, quick humor, careful silences, and a habit of apologizing when other people interrupted her. I had not spoken to her since the engagement ended. Then, on a humid Monday night in June, she called me at 10:17. "Please don't hang up," she said when I answered. "Elise? What happened?" "Nothing. That is the problem." Behind her, glasses clinked and people laughed. "I need to learn how to swim." I sat up. "You called me at 10 at night for a lesson?" "A private lesson." I checked the public classes. 12 people, glass walls, spectators. "I can't do that." "You can't swim at all?" "I can survive a bathtub." "That is not a recognized stroke." Her nervous laugh faded quickly. "I have to pass a water competency test in 3 weeks." "For what?" "I applied for a field photography position with a coastal wildlife foundation. 8 weeks on the barrier islands. Small boats, shoreline surveys, sea turtle sites. The Dyers had been preparing Elise to inherit a part of their company for years. "Does your family know?" "No. I want to tell them after I know I can take the job. And you want me to teach you in secret. I want instructions without an audience. No speech about bravery, no story about how damaged I am. I understood that more than I wanted to. I can use the Marlowe Hotel pool before it opens. 6 tomorrow morning. No guests." She went quiet. "Tomorrow? You said 3 weeks?" "Right." "Then tomorrow." She arrived at 5:58 in black leggings and an oversized sweatshirt, looking as if she had come to court without a lawyer. The Marlowe pool sat beneath a glass ceiling, empty except for blue reflections moving across the walls. Elise stopped at the edge. "You can leave," I said, "or you can start on the steps. You control the pace. What if I panic?" "Then we stop. I have coached adults who cursed at foam noodles. You will not shock me." That earned a small laugh. She returned from the locker room in a dark green one-piece and hotel robe. I had always known she was attractive, but years ago I had placed that fact outside the boundaries of thought. Seeing her now felt less like discovery than focus. I looked at the lane markers instead. We spent 20 minutes on the steps. I taught her to exhale underwater, loosen her jaw, and let her ears sink below the surface. "This is a terrible hobby. she said after coming up, sputtering. "It improves when you stop arguing with the water." "I am not arguing." "You glared at it. It started it." She kept trying. By the end of the hour, she could float on her back with my palm beneath her shoulders. Every time I removed it, she tightened and sank. "Again," she said. "You're exhausted." Again. On the fourth attempt, she floated alone for 5 seconds. When her feet touched the tile, her eyes shone. "You did it," I said. 5 seconds is not swimming. No, it is 5 seconds longer than yesterday. There was no yesterday. Exactly. Outstanding progress. She rolled her eyes, but smiled. We met each morning after that. She learned breathing, balance, kicking, and how to reach forward instead of clawing at the surface. She also insulted every training tool I gave her. The kickboard is humiliating. It is foam. It knows what it did. The empty pool became a place that belonged to neither Camille nor the Dyer family. Elise brought coffee and jokes. I gave her instructions no one could twist into judgment. On the third morning, I asked about the job while she practiced side breathing at the wall. "The foundation documents nesting sites and shoreline damage," she said. "They need a photographer who can work from small boats. You have a portfolio? My family has never seen it." She showed me photographs later. Marsh birds at dawn, fishing boats in fog, vendors arranging fruit before the market opened. They were quiet, honest images of things that existed before anyone staged them. "If I get the position, my mother will call it unstable and Camille will call it impulsive," she said. "What do you call it?" Elise looked toward the deep end. "The first major decision I have made without measuring how angry it will make them. Then pass the test. That simple? No. That clear?" Something shifted in her expression. Not gratitude. Trust. On the 5th morning, I led her past the rope separating the shallow end from the 6-foot section. She could stand at the beginning of the slope, but 2 steps farther, the floor dropped away. "We do not have to go deeper today," I said. "Yes, we do." "No, we do not. Learning is not punishment." She stared at the water. "If I keep stopping before the part that scares me, I'm just practicing stopping." It was a better answer than I had expected. I moved in front of her. "All right. New rule. If you panic, say blue. I put one hand under your upper back, one at your elbow, and I guide you to the wall. You do not grab me unless you need to." "Why blue?" "Because we are surrounded by it. That is not creative. I inspect propellers for a living." "Fine." Blue. She took my hands and walked down the slope until the water reached her shoulders. I felt the instant her feet stopped finding the bottom. Her fingers clamped around mine. "Breathe," I said. "I am breathing. You are negotiating with oxygen. That is different." She glared at me, but the tension in her grip eased. I guided her onto her back. For a few seconds, she floated. Then a maintenance cart rattled in the hallway outside. The sudden sound echoed off the tile. Elise jerked upright. Her feet searched for the floor and found nothing. "Blue!" she gasped. I moved immediately, one hand behind her shoulders, the other at her elbow. But panic had already taken over. She grabbed me hard, nails digging through my swim shirt. "Look at me," I said. She was not seeing me. She was somewhere else. "Don't let me go," she said. "I won't. Don't let me go like she did." I froze for half a heartbeat. "Who?" Her eyes locked on mine. Camille. The name came out like something torn loose. I brought her to the wall. She clung to the edge, coughing, though she had barely swallowed water. I stayed beside her without touching until her breathing slowed. "Elise," I said carefully, "what happened?" She shut her eyes. "When I was 12, our family rented a house near an old quarry lake. Camille was supposed to watch me while our parents went into town. She was 16? Her friends showed up with a boat. I said nothing. She told me to stay on the dock. I followed her because I was 12 and she was Camille. Elise laughed once, bitterly. She could make anything sound like a test you were failing. What happened in the water? They dared each other to jump from a rock shelf. I slipped before I reached it. I went under. Camille saw me. My stomach tightened. She saw you drowning? She saw me struggling. Elise stared at her hands on the tile, and she told everyone later that she thought I was pretending because I wanted attention. One of her friends pulled me out. Did you go to the hospital? For one night. My mother told people I had wandered away. By the time we got home, the story was that I had been dramatic, disobedient, careless. The pool felt colder around me. Why did no one tell me? Elise looked at me with tired disbelief. You were engaged to the version of Camille everyone agreed to protect. I did not know what to say to that. She pushed away from the wall. Lesson over. Elise, I said lesson over. She climbed out, wrapped herself in a towel, and disappeared into the locker room. I stood alone in the deep end, angry at Camille, angry at the Dyers, and unexpectedly angry at myself. I had spent 6 years at their table. I had watched Elise apologize when other people interrupted her. I had seen her go quiet whenever childhood stories came up. I had noticed without asking. That was not the same as knowing, but it did not feel innocent either. I expected her to cancel the next morning. Instead, she arrived with 2 coffees and handed me one. No deep end, she said. No deep end. And no emotional expression before caffeine. I can work with that. She looked at me for a long moment. You believe me? Yes. The answer came so quickly, she seemed startled. You don't need proof? I have spent my career listening to people explain what happened on boats. Fear has details. Lies usually have decoration. Her mouth curved faintly. That might be the least romantic thing anyone has ever said. I was not trying to be romantic. Good, but color rose along her cheeks, and I had to look away. We returned to the shallow end. I changed the lesson plan. Instead of pushing distance, we worked on control, how to roll from front to back, how to find the wall, how to tread water with slow movements instead of frantic ones. I made her practice saying blue before panic arrived, not after. Blue, she said while floating calmly. I guided her upright. That felt ridiculous. Good. Emergency skills should become boring. Is that your philosophy about relationships too? The question caught me off guard. My philosophy about relationships is currently under review. Because of Camille? Because of me. Elise studied my face, but she did not press. After the lesson, we sat on the pool deck with our feet in the water. Morning light was beginning to fill the glass ceiling. I owe you an apology, she said. For what? For not calling after the engagement ended. You did not owe me loyalty against your sister. That is not why. She traced a wet line across the tile with one finger. I knew more than I told you. A warning moved through me. How much more? She took a slow breath. Camille was seeing someone before she left. The room seemed to tilt, though I was sitting still. Who? A man named Evan Cole, one of the investors in the Charleston expansion. I knew the name. Camille had described him as boring, married to his work, useful. How long? I asked. At least 3 months. My chest tightened in a place I had believed was healed. You knew? I saw them together twice, and you said nothing. Elise flinched. I sent you a photograph. I stared at her. 9 months earlier, 2 days before Camille ended our engagement, An unknown number had sent me a blurry image of Camille kissing a man outside a restaurant in Charleston. I had shown it to her. She said the angle was misleading, that Evan had been comforting her after a difficult meeting. I wanted to believe her. 3 days later, she left. That was you? Elise nodded. Why did you not tell me who you were? Because I was terrified. If my family found out, I would become the problem. Camille would say I misunderstood. My mother would say I was jealous. You might have thought I was trying to break you up. Were you? Her eyes snapped to mine. I was trying to stop her from lying to you. That is not what I asked. Pain crossed her face, followed by anger. No, I did not want to break you up so I could have you. I wanted my sister to tell the truth. I wanted you to stop apologizing for noticing she had already left. I looked toward the water. For months I had replayed the end, blaming myself for being suspicious, for asking too many questions, for failing to become the man Camille wanted. Now the past rearranged itself with Elise sitting beside me, dripping pool water onto the tile. You should have told me, I said. I know. You let me believe her, I know, and then you came here asking me to trust you, I know. Her voice broke on the last word. That is why I am telling you now. I stood. She looked up quickly. Are you ending the lessons? I wanted to say yes. Clean boundaries. Clean exit. But I remembered her in the deep end, saying Camille's name like a wound she had carried alone for 14 years. No, I said. But from now on, no hidden facts. Not about the test, not about your family, not about me. She nodded. Agreed. And you do not get to decide what truth I can handle. The next morning, I brought no kickboard. Elise noticed immediately. Have I been promoted? To survival skills. That sounds less like a promotion. I led her to the middle section, where the water reached her chin but her toes still touched. Today you learn what to do when the plan fails. Clothes get heavy. Boats move. People lose sight of the wall. Panic tells you to fight everything at once. And what should I do? Choose one useful action. I showed her how to roll onto her back, scull with her hands, and breathe until she could locate an exit. Then I had her close her eyes while I moved a floating marker several feet away. No, she said. You can open them whenever you want. That defeats the exercise. Control is knowing you can stop, not pretending you cannot. She considered that, then shut her eyes. I moved the marker. Find the wall, I said. Elise opened her eyes, turned too quickly, and splashed herself. Her breath hitched. I saw the old panic arrive, fast and practiced. Blue, she said. I stayed an arm's length away. What is one useful action? Breathe. Do it. She rolled onto her back. Her chest rose and fell. After 3 breaths, she looked around, found the nearest lane line, and moved toward it without grabbing me. When her hand closed around the rope, she laughed in disbelief. You did not touch me. You did not ask. I thought you would. I promised to listen. Her smile faded into something more vulnerable. People say that a lot before deciding they know better. I rested my forearms on the lane line. Camille? My whole family. They call control concern. They make a decision for you, then act wounded if you want a vote. I thought of the years I had spent adjusting myself to keep peace with Camille. I used to call surrender compromise. Elise looked at me. Why? Because compromise sounds mature. Surrender sounds like you noticed what was happening. The pool hummed around us. When she left, I continued. I told everyone we wanted different things. That was easier than admitting I had spent a year pretending not to see she was already gone. Elise's hand tightened on the rope. The photograph should have made you leave. It should have made me ask better questions. I wanted her explanation more than I wanted the truth. And now I am trying not to punish everyone else for how foolish that made me feel. Her gaze held mine, including me, especially you. She looked away first, but not before I saw the emotion in her eyes. We repeated the drill. The second time she found the wall faster. The third time I moved farther away. She opened her eyes, located me, then deliberately turned toward the ladder instead. When she climbed out, I followed and sat beside her on the edge. "You chose the exit," I said. "You told me to." "No, I told you to choose one useful action." She pulled her knees up and rested her chin on them. "Maybe that is why I called you. Because I give annoyingly precise instructions? Because you never made me feel stupid for needing them?" I wanted to touch her. Instead, I handed her the towel. She accepted it, then caught my wrist before I could pull away. "I am not asking you to forgive me immediately," she said. "About the photograph. I know. I am asking you not to disappear while deciding." The request was quiet, but it carried more courage than any speech. "I won't disappear," I said. Her fingers loosened around my wrist. Good. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Her thumb rested against my pulse. The contact was small enough to deny and intimate enough that neither of us tried. Then the hotel lights brightened automatically, signaling that staff would arrive soon. Elise released me and stood. "Tomorrow I want the deep end again." "You sure?" "No." She wrapped the towel around her shoulders. "But I am choosing it anyway." For the next week, our mornings became harder and more honest. Elise admitted she had applied to the foundation twice before and withdrawn both times. I admitted I had stopped coaching evening classes because families at the pool reminded me of the future I thought I had lost. She learned to swim 25 yards without stopping. I learned she hated bananas, loved old film cameras, and carried a brass compass that had belonged to her grandfather. She learned I cooked when anxious and owned 4 nearly identical blue shirts. One morning, she climbed out after 4 lengths and lifted both arms. Witness greatness. I witnessed a left arm crossing the center line. "You are impossible to impress. You asked for instructions. I have changed my mind." I handed her a towel. "Your kick was strong." She stepped into it, smiling. My hands paused near her collarbones. She looked up, and there was no panic in her face, only awareness. "Jonah," she said, "tell me to move. I don't want you to." I touched her cheek. She leaned into my palm, then kissed me. It was gentle, almost cautious. She pulled back as if expecting the world to object. I kissed her again before it could. When we separated, she rested her forehead against my chest. "That was a terrible idea." "Probably. Do you regret it?" "No." Her smile appeared, uncertain and bright. "We need to be careful," I said. "You are leaving a family system that makes every choice feel like rebellion. I do not want to become another rebellion." She stepped back. "You think I kissed you to prove something?" "I think neither of us knows yet." "That sounds reasonable." Her voice went flat. I hate that voice. "What voice?" "The one that means you are hurt and pretending not to be." "You asked for honesty, then told me what I feel." She was right. "I'm sorry." Elise tightened the towel. "I kissed you because I wanted to. I have wanted to for longer than is convenient." "How long?" "I had a crush on you before the engagement. I told Camille once." She laughed and said I confused kindness with chemistry. "Did you still feel it while we were together?" "Sometimes." I never acted on it. I kept my distance because you chose her. The truth hurt less than uncertainty. What do you want now? She asked. Breakfast, somewhere public. No pool, no lesson, no excuse. Her smile returned. That is slightly more romantic. At a diner near the river, Elise showed me more of her photographs. Her work was observant rather than polished, full of people and places caught before they knew anyone was watching. These are good, I said. Camille calls them moody. Camille thinks emotion without a seating chart is disorganized. Elise nearly spilled her coffee laughing. Then she grew serious. I am scared that wanting something good will make me selfish. I turned her hand, palm up across the table. Then your family taught you the wrong definition. Breakfast became dinner 2 nights later. Then walks. Then an evening in my kitchen while she edited photographs, and I made pasta. We were careful, but caution did not keep us distant. She kissed me when I handed her a spoon. I kissed her beneath her porch light. The more time I spent with her, the less she felt connected to my past. She became entirely herself. 8 days before her water test, she received the job offer. She read the email in my truck outside the hotel and covered her mouth. They want me, she said. Of course they do. I have 48 hours to accept. Then accept. Her eyes filled. You make everything sound simple. No. I make decisions sound like decisions. She leaned across the console and kissed me hard enough to make me forget where I had parked. Then someone knocked on the passenger window. Camille stood outside. Elise went rigid. I had not seen Camille since she collected the last box from my apartment. She looked polished despite the heat, and her eyes moved from Elise's hand on my chest to my mouth. Get out, she told her sister. Elise lowered the window. No. Mother is looking for you. You missed a vendor meeting. I took the morning off. You did not tell anyone. I am 26. Camille looked at me. And this is what you are doing with your independence? I started to open my door, but Elise touched my arm. Let me. She got out. I received another job offer. I am leaving Dyer Events. Camille stared at her. For photography? That is an expensive hobby, not a career. It has a salary and housing. For 8 weeks. To start. And Jonah planned this? No. He taught me to swim. Privately? Yes. Camille's gaze sharpened. Did she tell you why she sent that photograph? My stomach tightened. She told me she sent it, I said. But did she tell you she had been in love with you for years? That she begged me not to marry you? That is not true, Elise said. You told me I did not deserve him. I told you to stop humiliating him. You said you wished he had chosen differently. Camille turned to me. She waited for evidence, sent it anonymously, then appeared years later asking for secret lessons. You think none of this was planned? I wanted to dismiss her, but the facts formed an ugly shape. Elise's old feelings, the anonymous photograph, the secrecy. Elise saw the doubt before I spoke. Did you ask her not to marry me? I asked. No. Did you say you wished I had chosen differently? Once, after I learned about Evan. I told her I wished you had chosen someone who would not use your forgiveness against you. Camille's small, satisfied shrug made me hate the whole conversation. I need space, I said. Elise's face closed. What about the test? I will arrange another instructor. Of course. She turned the brass compass in her fingers and walked away. Camille watched her go. You always were easy to unsettle. Do not mistake my doubt for trust in you, I said. You came because your sister was leaving your company and sitting in my truck looking happier than you expected. I drove away before she could answer. For 3 days, Elise did not call. My friend Maya, the aquatic director, finished her training and told me Elise arrived each morning, worked without complaint, and never asked about me. My apartment felt wrong. A photograph Elise had printed for me. A fishing boat disappearing into fog, still leaned against the wall waiting for a frame. On the 4th night, Maya called. She is ready for the test. You sound miserable. I did not request an assessment. You taught her not to panic in deep water. Try the same thing. Stop thrashing and check what is true. After we hung up, I reopened the old photograph of Camille and Evan. The metadata showed it had been taken in Charleston at 9:42 on a Thursday night. My calendar reminded me Elise had been at a Savannah charity auction until after 10. She could not have taken it. I found her at the riverfront, labeling waterproof cases for the foundation. She wore cargo shorts, an old university shirt, and the look of someone already halfway into another life. I checked the photograph, I said. Who took it? Elena Ruiz from the Charleston office. She sent it to me because she knew I was part of your family then. Why did you stay anonymous? I told my mother first. She said I was misreading friendship. Camille found out and reminded me that my job, apartment deposit, and health insurance all came through the family company. She threatened you. She did not need to. Practical facts do the work of threats in my family. Why did you not tell me? Because I was ashamed I let it work. She faced me fully. I said I wished you had chosen differently. I meant honestly. Did part of me wish you had chosen me? Yes. I buried it. I never touched you, encouraged you, or asked her to leave. I planned to learn to swim and leave town. Falling for you again was what I did not expect. Again? She laughed through tears. That is the word you heard? So is doubt, I said quietly. When Camille spoke, you believed the worst version of me because leaving first felt safer than making a risky choice. She was right. I am sorry. I believe you, not only because of the metadata, but because you kept telling me truths that could make me leave. A person running a plan does not hand over a map to every weakness. I should have seen that before. Yes, I want another chance. I have a test tomorrow, she said. I need to do it without you in the water. The answer hurt, but I understood. Then I will stay out. Will you come? Yes. Do not rescue me unless I am actually drowning. I promise. Camille and her mother arrived just before the test. Elise saw them, touched the brass compass in her robe pocket, and walked to her lane. The test required a 200-yard swim, 5 minutes of treading water, and a controlled exit from the deep end. The first 50 yards were steady. At 100, Elise gripped the wall too long. Panic appeared in the set of her shoulders. Maya leaned close but did not touch her. Elise closed her eyes. Blue, she said, not as surrender, as a reset. She rolled onto her back, took 3 breaths, then pushed away. The next 100 yards were uneven. Her left arm crossed the center line, her kick weakened, and she swallowed water once. She did not stop. During the tread, Camille moved closer to the edge as if expecting failure. Elise looked up, saw her, and smiled. Camille was no longer the person who decided what fear meant. At 5 minutes, the evaluator called time. Elise climbed out under her own power. Pass, the coordinator said. Elise covered her face. I stayed in the bleachers until she looked up and found me. Her smile broke wide. Camille stepped between us. You are quitting a real job to live in a bunkhouse and photograph turtles. Yes, Elise said. Mother built your position for years. Mother built a position for the daughter she wanted. Their mother stiffened. "Do not speak to me like that in public. Then listen in public. I am resigning, moving out of the company apartment, and buying my own insurance. You will not use practical facts to frighten me into staying." Camille glanced toward me. "And Jonah? He is not my escape plan. He is someone I care about. What happens between us will be decided by us." Camille's anger weakened. "I did not leave you in that lake on purpose." "No," Elise said. "You left because your friends mattered more than watching me. Then let everyone call me dramatic because the truth made you look bad. I was 16, and I was 12. Their mother looked away. Camille swallowed. "I lied to Jonah because I was angry. You never begged me not to marry him. I used your old crush because I wanted him to doubt you." "I am sorry." The apology did not repair 14 years, but it placed one true fact where a lie had been. Elise nodded. "Thank you for saying it." Then she walked past them and up the stairs toward me. "You passed," I said. "I passed. You crossed your left arm." She hit my chest with her towel. "You promised applause." "I did not." "Jonah." I pulled her into my arms. She held me because she wanted to, not because she could not stand. "I am sorry I doubted you," I said. "And I love you." She leaned back. "You cannot say that because I passed a swim test. I am saying it because you tell the truth when lying would be easier, because you are leaving a life that does not fit, and because you never asked me to save you." Her eyes filled. "That is an inconvenient amount of honesty. I am trying something new." She kissed me while strangers in the bleachers pretended not to watch. "I love you too," she said, "but I am still leaving for 8 weeks, I know. And my return cannot be the start of your life. I have a life. You own 4 identical shirts. They are different shades." She smiled through tears. "Prove it." So we did not turn love into a rescue. We turned it into a plan. Elise left for the Barrier Islands 6 days later. I helped load her cases onto the foundation boat and watched her step aboard without asking anyone's permission. For 8 weeks, our relationship lived through short calls and photographs sent whenever the signal worked. Turtle tracks at dawn, storm clouds over black water, volunteers eating canned soup. One picture showed her feet hanging over a skiff with the caption, "Still not touching bottom. Still okay?" I framed the fishing boat photograph above my kitchen table. Camille sent one brief apology for the affair and for using Elise's feelings as a weapon. I accepted it without reopening the relationship. Some doors can close without being slammed. When Elise returned in September, she stepped off the boat carrying 2 cameras. For 1 second, we only looked at each other. Then she dropped her duffel and ran. I caught her around the waist. "You are supposed to let the independent woman carry her own luggage," she said. "I am carrying you. The luggage can decide for itself." She kissed me before I finished. Over the next year, she accepted a permanent foundation position. I kept surveying boats and coaching. We found an apartment near the river with room for her photographs and my anxiety cooking. We were not perfect. Elise still went quiet when conflict frightened her. I still tried to repair emotions like machinery. But she learned to ask for what she needed, and I learned to say when I was afraid. Neither of us confused silence with peace. Almost a year after her first lesson, we returned to the Marlowe pool before sunrise. The water lay still beneath the pale glass ceiling. Elise placed her brass compass on a folded towel and stood at the deep end in a blue swimsuit. "What are we doing here?" I asked. "Final exam. You already passed." "Not this one." She dove cleanly, surfaced near the center, and swam 2 steady lengths. When she returned, she floated on her back. "No hands," she said. I lifted both palms. No rescue. She looked up at the brightening ceiling. The first morning I expected you to be polite, professional, and distant. I was professional. You stared at the lane markers for 5 minutes. They were interesting. She laughed and rolled upright. I did not expect you to believe me. I definitely did not expect to fall in love with you. I did not expect you to change my definition of courage. What was the old definition? Not being afraid. And now? Being honest about what scares you, then choosing anyway. She swam closer, hands resting lightly on my shoulders. Her feet moved calmly below the surface. She was not searching for the bottom. "Blue," she whispered. "Do you need help?" "No, then why say it?" "Because I wanted to remember that I can." She kissed me in the deep end, steady and certain. The first time she grabbed me, I thought I was saving her from the water. I know better now. She was teaching herself she could survive without surrendering control, and teaching me that love was not rescuing someone. It was standing close enough to help, far enough to let them choose, and honestly enough not to call fear a reason to leave. Sometimes the person who changes your life arrives at the wrong time, in the wrong family, under circumstances no one would call simple. Sometimes she calls at 10:17 on a Monday night and asks for a private swim lesson. And sometimes what happens next is not a scandal or a mistake. Sometimes it is two people learning that deep water is not the same thing as danger. What would you have done in my place? Would you have taught your ex's sister or walked away before the first lesson? Tell me in the comments, and if this story stayed with you, leave a like and subscribe for more stories about difficult choices that lead people toward the lives they were afraid to claim.